Hey guys, I got some exciting news today. We have Steve from Astro Realty finally joined the eXp after 3 years. All right.
Yeah.
And this is amazing because Steve not only is a broker, a team leader, he's also a family member. And believe it or not, I actually approached Steve. I think you're the second or the first person that when I went into eXp, when I sat down and
Second,
I couldn't explain the model to you. And you're like, okay, one of the things I love about you, you were like, yeah, I'm open to hearing what's out there. I'm not that dumb, right? And I'm excited about that you joined. I'm excited that we could share information, share content, share everything together. So even though we were just talking right before, we're in the same market. And really, it's not about, oh, I'm going to steal something from you or you're going to steal something from me. And I want to hear your experience and really from a broker point of view, like what was going in through your head for the last 3 years where you said, you know what, it's time to go ahead and make that move. So again, tell me more about you. Tell me what area that you cover and let's get into it.
So Rummy and I were family. And he brought this opportunity to me, I think late 2017, early 2018. It was when I just opened up my own brokerage, Astor Realty. We were based in Scarsdale on Central Park Avenue, probably a mile down from Rummy's office in Yonkers. But yeah, so he came up to me, told me about this eXp thing. I was open to hearing it. Obviously not even just because Rummy was family, but because I'm always open to new opportunities to see what things are about. And I wouldn't say there was anything wrong with the model, right? There was nothing that I saw would be something that would stop me from joining on. But I think with me at the time, because there was still some time or some experience that I needed to experience as being a broker, I just knowingly said, you know what, as much as this looks like a great opportunity, I wanted to experience things on my own because that's just the type of person I am. Yeah. Whether that's right or wrong, I mean, it is what it is. Looking back, I probably should have just jumped on when he told me. But anyway, so, again, we operate in the same market. And the brokerage model, I can tell you from being in this business for almost 10 years, it's a broken model, right? So for someone like us who is an independent, you either train people good enough where they end up leaving you, or you're just constantly turning through people and all the time and the expenses and just the energy that you spend in trying to train people and fit them, to what you're trying to do in the comprehensive picture of your brokerage. It's very difficult. So, even when you have like certain systems in place and you have things operating like a well-oiled machine, you're still spending a lot of energy. Through the years, I've always went back to that conversation that Rummy and I had all those years ago. And it wasn't until recently where I had a situation where I found myself within those past 3 months before I reached out to him again, because Rummy's always been there to help me.
Let me backtrack because that's something so important, what you just said right now. And thank you for sharing that because you're like, I want to give it a shot for the broker model too, right? As you say, it's broken. And I already did that, right? For 4 years ago. That was just my experience. And then you want to experience the same thing. And I don't believe that you did anything wrong. It's just your moment and the time before we kind of fast forward where you kind of joined. And what you said was so important. I want you guys to remind it because I think that's every entrepreneur want to open up their own brokerages, right? I'm not saying it cannot be done. It is being done, but what's involved in it? Because even for me, my production went down. I was doing good production. I'm like, why am I doing less production? Because we get so involved into trainings and replacing you and getting them trained and kind of moving forward from there. So really, really important what you just said. And as we are moving forward and we were always there for each other and you're doing, you were recruiting, what happened in between that time? What did you start realizing? I think our brokers and the agents who kind of really realize what you have realized and kind of fast forward to where you moved into eXp or just joined eXp.
So here's the thing, as the broker, everything falls on you, right? Everything that you do, you have liability, you have people looking to you for answers. And I'm not saying, even, being a team leader under a brokerage like eXp, you're still going to be probably the main point person. But when you look at the incremental revenue, and again, this is not for everyone. Right. So I'll just preface what I'm about to say with that. It may not be for everyone, but for the people that want to work on revenue generating activities solely, where you can actually tangibly measure the return that you're getting, this was the model that I felt worked for me, right? Because as an independent broker, again, there are some very, very successful independent brokers, right? And they have it down to a science, but I can tell you that I speak to a lot of them too. And a lot of them will tell you when they break it down, sometimes the activities that they get bogged down with or that fall on them on a daily basis doesn't produce 1 cent. And then you start to think, hey, you know what? If I had used this 10 hours during the week or 12 hours during the week, instead of focusing on these activities, because I'm in essence handing it off to the broker, right? How much more money would I have been able to generate if I had spent those 10 or 12 hours of what I just did, administration, whatever, HR, by actually focusing on revenue generating activities? And that was really the aha moment for me when I said, you know what? There were hours that I was spending during the week that were close to 40 hours, and that had nothing to do with trying to help people or trying to help people buy homes or sell homes, right? Because that's really what we're in this business for, you know?
Right. And I think people get away with it because I think a lot of people say, hey, oh my God, you're making so much money. This is what's happening. No, we're in a service-oriented business. I'm in it to helping home sellers, home buyers. On top of that, my agents, my team members, I care about them, not here, but I have people in the Philippines that work for me. We have extended family. So we are in this business to service them. And we get paid for that, but we also have to focus on, what really turns that wheel. I mean, we're talking about money, but at the end of the day, it's like, where do we need to focus our energy on is mostly on dollar productive activities, which is, hey, we got to meet more buyers. We got to meet more sellers. We got to meet more clients. We got to get back to people. And I think people forget about that. They get into this whole aha, like, oh, I'm going to go out, show a property. I'm going to make money. And thank you for sharing that. Go on.
Let me just be clear too. When we're talking about revenue generating activities, it's not about the money per se. What it is, it's about the more people you're able to help. I think just naturally, you will start to be able to expand your business and help more people, right? So that was the other thing, just as a side note, eXp allows me to grow my team from New York to say like Connecticut or other parts of the United States. So that's something that's also as a sidebar I felt was very important to me. But going back to what I was saying before is that even when you have systems in place, there are things that can bog you down in this business that can kind of pull you away from things that you're meant to do. We're meant to help people, plain and simple. That's really all this business is. And you can't sit down with a client who is very scared about putting in an offer when there's 3 or 4 other offers that are sitting on the table and you're trying to win them this house. Or, when you have a seller who's sitting down with 10 multiple offers from buyers and they don't know what to do. And you as a seller's agent or a listing agent has to advise them what to do. If you're worried about, other things that doesn't focus on helping the buyer or the seller, it can really steer the way that you're thinking at that moment because you're worried about liability issues or, talking with lawyers and New York State legal and all this other stuff. So, again, I don't want to make it sound worse than what it actually is.
I think what your end goal is to help more people, right? I mean, that's what you're telling me, that how many people can I go out there and service, buckling down on a day-to-day business. And I think I felt that same exact way too, as well. For 4 years, it was more or less like, worrying about this, worrying about XYZ, or, for me, it really boiled down to like, I want to service 120, 150 families and be not just making transaction. I mean, we all say units sold, but honestly, it's now we changed it to families. How many families we're going to help? And remember, as you buy a house or you sell a house, how many other families are going to be affected? Not just one family, more family, furniture. I just moved, I'm buying furniture. Their family is going to be affected. So I think you're saying really, really something important that a lot of people miss, which is, we're here to service people, to provide the best expertise in their experience, and really moving forward to go to the next level. And I felt that I wasn't doing the same thing as my own real estate brokerages that I had before, which I moved into eXp. So thank you for that. So what happened at that time when you got to a point when that you were just spinning the wheel? Is that the right word to use? Like spinning the wheel, you're doing the same thing over and over, nothing really is growing because you're not focusing on what your real purpose was. That's to use the word purpose, because I think that's what you're trying to aim for. What happened? And you kind of fast forward to where you started thinking about changing company, because you did interview a couple of the people, right?
Yeah, so there were a couple of brokerages, that will remain nameless, but they're very well known. So, I was kind of talking to, you and two others at the time. And, they each had their own benefits. And that's the thing, right? Like going back to what we were talking about, it's not all about the money. When you look at your business from a macro level, people always say, oh, well, the broker gets 100%. Us as the broker, I'm sure you know this, Roman, we don't get 100%, right? Even though in theory, the checks are being made out to us, we don't get 100%. I think we actually get less than what we're getting now with eXp.
Honestly, it's a myth. And I laugh when people tell me like, but you're 100%, we call it acquisition per client, acquisition per brokerage, and what I spend. People don't look at that. They just said, oh yeah. I mean, I did when I said, I'm going to open my brokerage, let's go. When I got into it, it was like, whoa, what the hell is all this? The expectations are completely different.
The check was coming in and it was going right back out. So that's what it was. But for me, I started seeing the benefits of aligning myself with eXp, because I think it's easier with the model that they've already laid out to actually recruit more agents to my team. That's one. Two, I mean, listen, it is what it is, right? When you're an independent broker, I'm sure you know this, people know that you're the final say. So they try to get away with a little more, even though you may have standards set, they say, oh, well, you can make an exception for me. And in some instances, that is true. But at the same time, then you have other people saying, oh, well, why couldn't you make that exception for me? So, it's nice to just come in with this model, say, look, it is what it is. This is how we can work it for you. If it's for you, great. If it's not, then that's okay too. For me, it was about setting a precedent and saying, okay, this is how I want to build my team. This is how I want to build my structure. Now that I don't have the other nuances of running a brokerage, now that that's taken away from me, now I can focus solely on service. And at that point, at that time, I told you, for like the 3 months before I finally jumped ship, I was spending so many hours on dealing with things that just weren't helping me help, my agents serve families and helping my own clients. And I just said, you know what, enough's enough. Like, I just can't do it anymore. It just got so frustrating.
It must be a better way, right?
It must be a better way. So, people always ask me like, oh, why'd you, jump right away? I actually didn't. I used the 3.5 years, almost 4 years as a research.
Yeah. And that's important, because I think people forget. I mean, even me, it took me 6 months. I flew around. I'm like, what was going on? What's happening? And take your time. I mean, listen, we are in this position. We're saying it is the best thing because we went through the experience. We went through all that. But sometimes you got to take a leap of faith, in which you did too as well. Like, listen, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And what has been the results so far? Like, what have you experienced? We all know it's this, let's not have to repeat it, stock options, revenue share. And all that. I think there's something more in there. And
absolutely,
I'm experiencing that now more or less than ever before. And, somebody asked me this simple question is, wow, what are you doing? What's happening? I'm like, I'm really in it to build trust with other agents that want to do it just as me or close to me. And we want to build it to the next extent. And I'm going to take those people with me, right? Build that trust, have the confidence. Let's take it with me, right? So with me, I'm probably one of the most cynical people you'll ever meet, and I don't say that lightly, because it's just a fact. I'm always looking for an ulterior motive. For me, I can tell you that, this wasn't something that I took lightly, but what it was is that when you really look at, for me, and I'm going back to the brokerage model being broken, business is unlimited. That's my mindset. I think the biggest thing, if someone can change their mindset, that's probably had the biggest impact on my business, is the mindset. Yep. Someone who's willing to embrace an opportunity like this has to change their mindset, because if you go from people like us that were making, 100% to now going to the model of the 80-20 split, which I think is still a great split, no matter what. There's always in the back of your mind thinking, oh, well, you know what, I could have made 100%, when it's not really true. So when you have to change your mindset, but what it is that it kind of takes away all of that. What it does is the collaboration that exists. So let's just say you and I didn't know each other and we were, and we weren't family. There are other eXp agents out there that I'm talking, not even within our organization. The minute you say you're with eXp, they have a very collaborative approach, right? So brokers in general, and because our business is very commoditized, everywhere you look, there's 10 or 12 people that are real estate agents, right? Everyone is very guarded
with what, everyone thinks, they have a specific lead generation model or they have a specific system in place. It's all the same,
It's all the
right?
same.
It's
Yeah.
all the same.
All
There's
the same.
nothing someone's going to do that's going to reinvent the wheel or give them a leg up. We're in a service business. People look to you, right? However you connect. You may connect with someone that I may not connect with, and vice versa. So I've never really found truly or genuinely in certain, and listen, I'm not saying all eXp agents are perfect, but I'm just saying the people that I've spoken with so far have been very open, and me included, right? So this didn't really hit me until I really joined, or when you and I started getting really serious about talking, because you've always been there for me, even before you never pressured me. It was always like, hey, let me know what I can do for you, stuff like that. But again, the brokerage model in general is just so broken. I think eXp kind of just like blew the top off and said, hey, you know what? Everyone now has a vested interest, no matter what.
Exactly.
No matter what.
Exactly. Everybody has an invested interest. So even when you talk to different agents, it's like, okay, how can I help you do more transactions? When I have other agents not in my organization, and this whole big thing that's going on in the organization world, and I hate it sometimes, is yes, we want you to join. But at the end of the day, if you don't join, people are approaching me, Rummy, how can I do this? Can I do open houses? I'm like, dude, here you go. Here you go. Because now we're a big family. We have this eXp family tree. It's like we are this big family that's out there. Yep. And it doesn't matter who you're with. It's just how much you're trying to contribute. And are you the person that is going to be motivated enough to go out there to do, I just did this right now, to do open houses because we needed some people. And the same thing for you too as well. And I think that one of the things that when people reach to make you come up is, and I'll give you my example, is like, I always want to do an expansion team. We were stuck in that model, like, okay, just local. When I joined eXp, I did Connecticut. I started growing. That's how I went upstate more. Then when David said, then why the hell you bitching for it? Just do it. I'm like, what? He's like, just do it. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? He goes, move down here and just do it. And it was that simple. But me and my wife came down and we looked at it. We're like, okay, let's do it. And you guys will see that journey that I went through. But it's really, really about, because people trust you enough that you have the capability of doing it. Guess what? You have trust in yourself too as well. And I think that when you make that connection, that mindset of, again, shifts again. And now you're thinking much, much bigger. Instead of that, it's just me, right? It's one mind all together, just thinking that you're the best. So now it's like, no. Let's build this together as a bigger empire and a bigger opportunity for all. And I think that's what you're going to bring. You're going to bring not that opportunity, not for yourself, for other people around you. And we're getting there, right? You just recently joined and you got a couple of listings already coming in. You got a couple of agents coming in already. You're doing this massive, massive shift in your mind shift and in your company as well. Let me ask you a question as we move forward, right? What is the one thing that you have seen so far, looking from the outside for the last 3.5 years and going in the inside? And I'm pretty sure, because my experience right now, after 4 years, is completely different. Because if you spoke to me about 3 years ago, it was a little bit different. And now it's like, wait, there's a whole different element that I think eXp provides when people are thinking about it, that they don't think further enough, only until you experience it. What have you experienced right now?
Again, it's the collaboration. It's the idea that there are more like-minded individuals like myself, where we all feel business is unlimited, right? And you don't have to be very guarded with what you're doing successfully in the business that you can't share with others, right? There was just little things in talking with other agents and in talking with you and David, where, it was like, wow, you never think about it. It's not like it's brand new information. It's something that you need to do, but just hearing it from someone else, and and especially with you and I, we operate in the same markets, but we never have that mindset where, oh my gosh, well, I'm not going to tell Rummy this, or you're like, well, I'm not going to tell Steve this because we're operating in the same market. To me, is probably the main reason why I joined eXp. Outside of all the other benefits, but to me, it was just, I'm the type of person, I like to collaborate. I'm into masterminds. I'm into coaching. And I feel like with this, there's kind of like a built-in mastermind or built-in coaching, because you have access to people that are going to help elevate you, right? And so, like I said, I want to see 5 years from now, or even 3 years from now, or even 12 months from now, and look back and say, wow, you know what? My business has grown to X directly because of my association with eXp and the people that have helped me in eXp. And that's really what I'm looking forward to, because I know I'm going to be able to substantiate that and say, wow, I was here and now I'm here.
And I could contest for that too as well. And it all boils down to everybody's ability to do it. We could guide you the right way to go, but if you're not going to get up and get ready and walk that path, and yeah, we all going to make mistakes. And I think our team is never going to be identical, but it's always going to be something similar, right? Because you have your different way of doing business. I have my different way of doing business. And I tell every agent the same thing when they join. So, I want to wrap this up. I do want to make it short, where I want people to get some powerful information out of this. How does somebody reach you? If somebody wants to know about eXp Sit on One-on-One, I know you are a no pressure guy. This is one of the guys who was never pressured. So he's a no pressure guy. He's not going to be like, come on, throw up all you. He's just going to provide you information. How does somebody reach you? How does somebody contact you? And really just have a genuine talk with you and sit down on why you brought your brokerage over, why you brought your agents over, and why you came over, and really talk about the experience that you have with eXp.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't have these conversations. Funny, I've had more. I was just talking to someone yesterday about it. That's with another big brokerage in our area. And the conversation was actually about something totally different. It was about a deal. And naturally, the conversation shifted to like what I was doing and why I joined eXp. So if this person didn't know me well enough, they would have thought it was like a recruiting call, but it wasn't. It was just so natural to speak about what I was doing and why I was doing it. So I'm enjoying these conversations. So yeah, I always tell people, regardless, you can always reach out to me.
Also for agents too, as well, that are looking to join, even if you're seasoned or not. I mean, you got so much business. We were just speaking about that. Like, you're so backed up that you need agents to help you out do showings.
Yeah, I have, and this is one thing that I am very thankful for. You've been working with me and trying to help me go through these growing pains, right? So like right now, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to provide our buyer's agents the ability to go on appointments. They don't have to set appointments. Imagine being a buyer's agent and just having your phone filled up with notifications with calendar appointments. And all you got to do is go out and sell. You don't have to be the one sitting there rummaging through leads. We're here to provide you preset appointments, and all you have to do is go out and do what you're supposed to do. And then you have access to, things that I can help you with in terms of conversion and talking to clients, and obviously, Rummy and a lot of the people in his large, massive team. So there's a huge support system, and that's really something that I want to help you grow on too, because we're just going to grow together in that aspect also.
Man, thank you for being on today. I know you had a busy day, and if anybody wants to go ahead and know more about eXp, know more about joining a team, know more about just selling real estate, reach out to Steve. He's an amazing individual, not just because he's my family member, because I know him even before that, and I think he's gonna be the right person for you to go connect with. And generally speaking, I mean, this is probably one of the best interviews that I ever did. It was we didn't even rehearse, we just got right into it.
Yep.
So this is real talk right now, and thank you for being on. I appreciate you, and get the information below. Contact him, message him. Guys, thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Appreciate it.